As the world marks World Mental Health Day, the overall objective is to raise awareness of mental health issues around the world and to mobilize efforts in support of Mental Health Day. The day provides a platform for all stakeholders working on mental health issues to talk about their work and what needs to be done to make mental health care a reality for people worldwide. SADAG Operations Director Cassey Chambers joins us to expand on this. Cassey, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. As we take stock of World Mental Health Day, the focus really this year has been about mental health in the workplace. And of course, mental health on its own as a separate topic is still shrouded by a lot of stigma. What are your observations as we take stock of mental health within the workplace?
What we're seeing is more and more people talking about mental health, understanding the stress, the burnout, the kinds of challenges that so many employees are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. SADAG launched some new research earlier this week from a survey finding of over 963 employees, understanding what are some of their mental health challenges. And a lot of them are talking about not being able to switch off from work, dealing with long hours. I mean, these are the challenges that so many people are dealing with, yet our workplaces are not creating safe spaces to talk about mental health, not giving us reasonable accommodation to address mental health issues. And I think today being World Mental Health Day is just the start of an opportunity to start to normalize those conversations, both for employees and employers.
Yeah, and as you talk about mental health, we know that as matriculants are going to be sitting down, the class of 2024, sitting down to write exams. And of course, aspects of mental health may also factor in there. What do parents need to look out for? Because it's all very well to, not be able to switch off from work, but when you do get home, you could perhaps have a matriculant who needs you.
Absolutely. And I think any parent who's got a matriculant who's preparing 2 weeks away from starting their final exams, it feels like they're also writing exams again. And I think as any parent, we're really just having to kind of touch base with where our child is at the moment. They've had a tough year, they've studied, it's now going into that last stretch. And I think it's having that connected conversation first, just to check in. How are they doing? How are they coping? What are they stressing about? So too often we don't ask these difficult questions because we don't always want those difficult answers. But I think as parents, as you're leading up into this last stretch, is really to connect with our young people. They're often feeling overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, scared, nervous, even confident, which would be great for a lot of matriculants. But I think as parents, we have to connect and say, are they okay? Are they coping? How do I check in with them? Especially going in, because they might be fine at the beginning, a week or two into it, they're going to need some support. And I think having that open conversation with them the whole time is really, really useful. I think if any parent is concerned, maybe their child has expressed that they're not coping, that they don't see the point of it, they're going to fail, they can't do this, that's when it's important to encourage them to get help. Unfortunately, from the work that SADAG does in receiving calls on a daily basis from learners throughout the country, there's a lot of young people who don't feel comfortable to open up to parents or teachers in the fear that they're going to be judged. Yeah. They're going to be told that they need to, suck it up and carry on and do better. And I think, again, as parents, caregivers and loved ones, we really have to understand the challenges, the stresses that they're under, and to support them to help them get through this next phase of exams.
Absolutely. And in fact, if parents are just looking to see and check in with their children to see if they're okay, what are the signs that should raise red flags?
I think the first and foremost is if any child is saying things like they can't go on anymore, or what's the point? If they're saying or expressing points of not being around anymore, or wanting to die, or not wanting to be here anymore, those are pretty significant red flags. They might even be posting things on social media, saying goodbye, I want to go to sleep and never wake up. These are significant things as a parent just to be looking out for. We know that during this time, it's normal for our teenagers and for matriculants under this kind of stress to be more tired and lethargic and not have as much energy. But if you see a drastic change in their eating or sleeping habits, where they can't sleep for days, they have insomnia, or they're sleeping the whole time and waking up exhausted, if you find that they've also isolated themselves out of the norm for them, more so from family and friends, they don't want to leave their room, they don't want to go out, they just want to be alone. These are some of the significant red flags that should start prompting a conversation with them. Ask them directly, are you okay? I'm worried about you. Can we talk about it? Also, to be realistic, that if they're not comfortable to talk to you, that they're talking to someone.
Yeah.
We really have to open up those conversations and normalize talking about mental health issues.
You mentioned something really important, wanting to die. And we know, as far as these statistics are showing, they're revealing alarming trends. Men lodging 52.6% of claims relating to depression and anxiety. Suicide cited in 60% of all claims for mental disorders. This is according to the insurance groups that are looking at these numbers. I mean, that in itself is speaking volumes.
It does. And when we think of these figures and these numbers, these are people. These are our brothers, our sisters, our colleagues, our partners, our parents even. And I think it's really important to know that this does have serious consequences. So if a young person or an adult are talking about these things, if they've been going through struggles and dealing with problems, and you find that their overall mood and well-being is decreased over a period of 2 to 4 weeks, it is important that you have that conversation, that you get them the help that they need, because we know that undiagnosed and untreated depression is the leading contributing factor to suicide. We also know that our adolescents, and especially in South Africa, are the most at-risk age group for suicide. So take every threat or mention seriously. It could literally save a life.
And perhaps some advice as we all take stock and, you know, in the face of stress, anxiety and depression taking a very heavy toll on South Africans. What are the guidelines on how one, you know, recognizes if they have a problem or perhaps tries to prioritize their mental health?
I think one of the key messages that we're trying to get out for World Mental Health Day, although every day should be World Mental Health Day, is SADAG really wants to get the message across of what mental illness is and what it isn't, to help us to break that stigma and to help us to understand that it's a real illness that needs real treatment. So while mental illness might be examples of depression or anxiety or bipolar or even PTSD, it changes the way that we think, feel, behave, and act. So while only a small percentage of South Africans may have a mental health issue, and we know that there's 1 in 3 South Africans that will or do have a mental health issue at some point in their lifetime, all of us have mental health. And it's important that we do something every day to look after our mental health. And we can help to prevent it escalating into something more severe or impacting our day-to-day functioning or our relationships.
Yeah.
If we can get more parents and adults to role model better mental health, we can help our future generation look after their mental health going forward.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Cassey Chambers there, SADAG Operations Director, as we reflect on World Mental Health Day.